Dr. Miguel Villar of the University of Pennsylvania's Department of Anthropology has found genetic evidence of the origin of the Chamorro people. His study of Chamorro mitochondrial DNA has been published by the American Journal of Human Biology. In his study, he sampled genes from 105 Chamorros from Guam, Rota, and Saipan, as well as the genes of 17 Carolinians from Saipan. He has successfully sequenced the complete mitochondrial genome of his Chamorro participants.
Everybody inherits from their mother. It's part of the DNA. It's a small part of the DNA, but it's something that's inherited purely from your mother, and she got it from her mother and her mother's mother. So it's not the DNA that mixes between generations from mixing of a father and a mother, or all four grandparents or all 8 great-grandparents. This is passed on purely from one person.
Dr. Villar says this allowed him and his colleagues to track the maternal or female line of Chamorros, which also allowed them to rule out the intermixing that has occurred since Spanish colonization. Most of this intermixing was due to Spanish, Filipino, or Mexican men marrying Chamorro women. Thus, the mitochondrial study allows him to better trace Chamorro lineage. So what were the findings?
So what we found was that the Chamorros are quite different to all other ethnic groups, not only in Micronesia, but we're finding throughout the Pacific.
So where are the Chamorro people from?
What we found is that 2 major lineages are found in the Chamorros, both of which also exist in parts of eastern Indonesia. Some related types occur in the Philippines, but not exactly the same. The closest match seems to be in areas of eastern Indonesia.
This includes the areas of Sulawesi as well as the Moluccas Island. In fact, many linguists, anthropologists, and archaeologists have, for quite some time now, noted the distinctly unique language and culture of the Chamorro people, and many have theorized that they came from Southeast Asia from places like Indonesia. Although the closest genetic match to Chamorros is found in eastern Indonesia, it's not an identical match. Dr. Villar says this means that at some point, the Chamorro people split away from their mother population and developed into their own genetically distinct people. So how long ago did this split happen?
And what we're finding is that length of time is probably somewhere around 4,000 to 5,000 years, which coincides with some of the archaeological evidence of the first peopling of the Marianas. Our DNA, we were able to look at the number of mutations and use a constant mutation rate that's found in this part of the DNA, and we got the number to be very similar, somewhere between 4,000 and 5,000 years ago. There seems to be a separation between the genetic population of Chamorros and those of eastern Indonesia.
And what perhaps may be even more interesting than this is that the genetic code reveals what is likely a second wave or second migration of people into Guam.
And then another thing we found out is that there's one specific lineage among the Chamorros that seems younger. It seems to be maybe just 1,000 or a few thousand years old, much younger. Around 1,000 years ago, you see the first appearance of the latte among some of the ruins in Guam and Rota and Saipan. The stone structures are appearing somewhere around 1,000 years ago, and archaeologists have also found that around that same time, 1,000 years ago, there's the first evidence of rice cultivation in the Marianas. And so these 2 new things, latte and rice, seem to have appeared for the first time around 1,000 years ago, which seems to be similar to the date that we're finding for the new, or the younger, or the minority lineage, let's say, the third lineage that we find among Chamorros, which occurs at about 7 to 10% of Chamorros. And so the theory is, could this be a second wave of migrants coming from a similar region? And that's what we're thinking, except, again, we have not found the exact match to that lineage anywhere.